Now, it is our extreme pleasure to honor two of the ILA's founders, Georgia Sorenson and Lorraine Matusak. Would you please join me on stage, along with the chair of the Legacy Committee, Ron Riggio. This is great fun. I love this. Georgia. Last year when we honored Meg Wheatley, we acknowledged that Meg shifted the field of leadership with her book, Leadership in the New Science. But without Georgia Sorenson, there might not even be a field of leadership. 30 years ago, she and Jim Burns planned out, step by step, how to establish the field of leadership studies. Recognizing the building blocks that were needed, she established or supported refereed scientific journals, co-edited the award-winning Encyclopedia of Leadership, and the Quest for a General Theory of Leadership. She developed a $2 million leadership library bearing the name of James McGregor Burns and received a $5 million Kellogg Leadership Grant for the KLSP project. Her intellectual curiosity has her continuing to look at leadership in different ways. She recently co-authored a book called The Power of Invisible Leadership, and this year she was named a Mahler Fellow at Churchill College and Cambridge University. Georgia models the blending of academic pursuits and the practice of leadership. She served as a senior policy analyst in the Carter White House and for the U.S. Commission of Civil Rights. Georgia is one of the reasons we are all in this room today. She is one of the founders of the ILA. Without her, we may not be attending this 17th ILA conference. We may not be in Barcelona, guys. She and her fellow founders developed the idea. She served on the inaugural ILA Advisory Board and was acknowledged for her ongoing commitment to our work by being elected as an Emeriti ILA board member. She developed the field of leadership studies and the ILA. That's huge. She's a developer, she's a creator, she's a connector of ideas and people. I'm fortunate, like many of you in this room, to be somebody who got connected to other people because of Georgia and the way she brings people together. So Georgia, you could stand. On behalf of the ILA and the Legacy Committee, it is our honor to induct you into the ILA Virtual Hall of Fame as a luminary of the leadership profession with the ILA Lifetime Achievement Award. Please join me in congratulating Georgia Sorenson.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't learn until last night that I was expected to say a few words, so I get to speak from the heart because I didn't have time for the mind. At any rate, yesterday afternoon I bumped into Ira Chaliff, who was on the board of ILA, and he asked me an important question. He said, what was it like? Did you ever imagine the ILA would be like this when you and Lorraine and Jim sat down at that table and dreamed it up? And I wanted to answer that question really briefly. Look, I never imagined that we'd be able to attract the vice president of Princeton University to come and take ILA's leadership at this really important time of our history. So I never imagined that Sin Sherry would be our full-time president. I never imagined that Catherine Tyler Scott, who was an expert in board relations, no one is better known in that field than Catherine. I never imagined that she'd be the chair of our board. I never imagined that Kevin Lowe would travel 35 air miles to get here today from New Zealand. 35 air miles. You know, I came from Washington, D.C. It was 8. I can't imagine. You must be young, Kevin. I never imagined that I would be at Cambridge University, one of the very top universities in the world. Never imagined it. I never imagined that the James McGregor Burns Academy of Leadership would move to the Moeller Center at Cambridge University and continue the legacy of Jim Burns, who, those of you who know him, was such a special person because he always told all of us to be bold. That was his mantra. Be bold. You know, life is short. Be bold. So I hope some of you will be able to join us, stop in. I know there are many receptions tonight, but Moeller Center at Churchill College, Cambridge University tonight will have a reception at 6:30 in room 131. I never imagined in my wildest dream that Lord John Alderdice would be a lord, would be a baron, and would be here with us today on the week of his daughter's wedding to talk about peacemaking, you know, real dedication, and you're in for a real treat later. I never imagined that my daughter, who was just a little kid, some of you remember when she used to sit underneath the table at the university and listen. In fact, she told me once that she didn't have to go to the university because she'd already been to the university. But I said, you better go anyway, right? She did her first leadership conference this week, and I expect my granddaughter, my first granddaughter, I have a 2-year-old grandson, to be born this week. And then my daughter would say to me, Mom, you got to go to ILA. You just have to go to ILA. I'll be okay. You know, she said, you get to be queen for a day. When have you ever been queen? I said, well, okay, that's probably right. So hopefully I'll return home to having a granddaughter. I never imagined that Michael Brandenburg would pull off this incredible conference here in this beautiful city on the Mediterranean, that I could look out of the hotel room and see the Gaudi Cathedral, you know, who was started by one man's persistence, but now has cranes all over it, you know, almost a century later, still building away at that cathedral, just like you all are still building away at ILA. So I never imagined all these things, truthfully. So to answer Ira more explicitly, did I ever imagine what ILA would be like, you know, now when we sat around that table so many years ago, and you and Roger Sublette, you know, helped us so greatly with funding from the Kellogg Foundation. I never imagined, never in my wildest dreams. You know, they say visionaries, you know, have a vision of the future. Well, we were bold, but I didn't have a vision for this. Never in my wildest dreams. Thank you very much.